This is Greg Giraldo Jr., and you were listening to the Matt Balaker podcast.
Today's guest is a substitute teacher, comedian, and also a member of the Three Sons Club. Please welcome Greg Giraldo Jr. to the show. How you doing, Greg?
Thank you. I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing well. We talked briefly beforehand. My kids break for the summer shortly, so I'm clenching. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm also excited.
Yeah, great, dude. I'm envious because I think, especially being a stand-up comedian, you see other people with kids and you're like, yeah, I'm never. It's just never. Like, there's no world in which I get those.
Well, yeah, they're good for material. They're good reason to blame things on. If things aren't going my way, it's always their fault. So it's nice to have a scapegoat. It's nice to have a scapegoat.
That's true. It's better than the Jews, I suppose.
Yeah, that's get in less trouble. Blame it on the kids. The good point, Greg.
Yeah.
So you're a bit of a rarity. You're someone who actually grew up in New York City. What's that like?
It's cool, yeah. I think I took it for granted growing up. I tell this to everyone, like, growing up in New York is kind of boring because you're a kid, so you don't have money. So you just do what everyone else would do. Like, it really is, you just go to school, do high school sport or theater or whatever you do after school. And then, like, by that time, it's 5 p.m., you still have homework. You have to wake up the next day at 7 o'clock or whatever. So you basically just go home and do your homework. And yeah, so I think it was similar to growing up anywhere else, at least the way I did it.
That's a good point. And what part of the city did you grow up in?
I grew up on the Upper West Side. This is actually my childhood home.
Oh, wow.
Lucky.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it's funny. My dad grew up in Greenpoint, which when he was there, they didn't have a bunch of vegan bakeries. It was Polish, the signs were in Polish. And so now it's super hip. But I guess in your time being there, what changes have you seen, whether it's the Upper West Side or just the city in general?
Interesting. That's a great question. It's definitely gotten more like, I don't know if I'm placating your audience too much, but it's definitely gotten more like woke per se. I guess it's New York. It's always fucking been that way. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, sorry, like, there was a time, I mean, I'm quite a bit older than you, like, when my dad was a kid, it was like, you don't go to the city. Like, you don't go to Times Square unless you want to get stabbed or something. So there was a brief moment where tough people lived in the city.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Spurs fan. That definitely is still true. But we no, I don't think that's, I don't think that's, that was never a thing during my lifetime, because anything post Giuliani, my understanding is it's just a different world.
No more peep shows, a lot more Disneyfication of Times Square.
Man.
So
I'm sad I never got to see him though, because as a comic, it seems so fun.
What's old is new again. So maybe they'll make a comeback. We can only hope.
I hope so. I mean, my thing is, and I don't know if you get this as a stand-up as well, I just so value experiences and novelty. So to me, like, there's nothing more just absurd than going to a peep show in the middle of Times Square. Because what, like, a quintessential awkward human experience.
It's one thing to go to like a porno shop, but I can't imagine just like walking outside at like 11:43 a.m. and I just be too self-conscious. That's like someone I know would see me and it's like, hey, what are you up to? And
yeah. I think I used to be scared before stand-up, but now that I do it, I don't, like, I'd wave. I'd tell them what I was doing. I also think I'm like, most things considered, I don't really do a lot that I would consider embarrassing. So like, I legitimately, if someone saw me doing that, I would just be like, yeah, I'm doing this because I think it'd be fun to talk about. I don't know. I've never been. Fuck it.
That's good. Yeah, you gotta have something embarrassing. You need a little bit of texture. You need some contrast to to help with your sets and to help at cocktail parties. You need something to chat about.
Please.
I want to know, like, specifically some of the changes like pre and post COVID, because I'm now in Orange County, which is pretty different from LA, but I lived in LA and luckily I got out of there before COVID, but I'd go up pretty regularly and it sucked. Like, it was like this post-apocalyptic, like, just gloom and doom zone. And I think it's gotten a little bit better. It's definitely like coming back, I think, but I wouldn't recommend anyone go there. New York has a very different vibe, but I want to get your opinion.
Post-COVID? Yeah, I mean, I was like a young I was, like, simultaneously a teenager and a loser. So I didn't go out at all, um, pre-COVID, so I didn't see a lot of it. I hear about it a lot, and from what I understand, I definitely missed out. But yeah, I think now as a comic especially, you feel it because of the death of the 24-hour cycle.
Mm.
Like, you used to be able to, like, go to a diner after your sets and go right and hang out, and that doesn't really exist anymore except for, like, a few hyper specific places. Um, so
That
at
that
least
that
for
was
me, it
such a,
seems like the big.
a staple of New York comedy. You stay out no matter when. What you could have a 7 p.m. set and you're out till 3:30 a.m. It just that's how it worked. That's that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
kind of
that's
sad.
still that's still the case, kind of, but you're kinda just at a bar
You're just
now.
you're just at a bar. Well, I definitely want to talk about stand up, but I read somewhere like I think they're talking about cops. It's like you rarely meet
Okay.
someone on their best day. I think that applies to substitute teaching as well, but I want to get your take. What say you, Greg?
If you really meet someone, are you assuming that I've broken and, like, shot a kid?
Well, not necessarily, but I was doing some intel on. It may or may not be one of my sons who lives here, who's in fifth
Okay.
grade. I was like, what happens when there's a substitute? Like, is there whoopee cushions? I know it's probably dated. He's like, no, but
Oh, god,
there's
you're
usually
like, they're
someone
brain
that
dead.
will like, yeah, like make a fake fart sound and then point this way when the teacher
Oh,
has his
of
back turned.
course.
So well, yeah. What are some of the antics that you've experienced?
Antics as a sub, that's so interesting. I think for the most part, I don't know, I wish I had more stories on that because most of them are not silly and fun. They're like
Mm.
someone will like because either the kids are really mine don't really want to mess with me only because I clearly don't care. Like, I'm not gonna I know I like to think we all remember what it was like when a substitute was in the classroom, so I sort of understand my role, so, like, you're not gonna get me mad, really. Um, do
Well, how does it work? Like in terms of like, are you just on call and you get a text at like 6 a.m.? Like how do you know when you have a job?
it's pretty much like that. So there's an online portal, and then you select your job via the online portal, but you don't know the grade you're getting, you don't know the whatever, the subject, you don't know anything, really.
So what subjects do you teach?
Anything, whatever they have, man. But you're a substitute, so you don't teach anything for
You
any of
you
them.
press you press play. You're good at pressing
Pretty
play.
much, yeah. You just gotta hope to survive for the next hour.
You just gotta grin and bear it. So how did you get into subbing?
It was just easy. I mean, it's as a comic, your schedule is so flexible, so you definitely need jobs. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be on the road for 3 days. How do I not work for those 2 days and still make a living? Um, so for that, I think substitute teaching is pretty common for stand-up comedians. I generally work like 2, 3 days a week or 3 days a week. Yeah, so that's just the flexibility really is what got me into it.
That's smart. Yeah, it's like a good like waiter job, but probably more stable, and it's more
Sure.
conducive to stand up because it's a daytime thing,
Yeah,
unless you're.
exactly.
So I'm curious, when did you kind of get the stand-up comedy bug?
That's a great question. Um, so I did it for the first time when I was in high school once, and it's actually on YouTube, and a friend of mine just re-uploaded it because he wanted to mess with me. And I did it 2 more times, and then I took my ex-girlfriend to a mic because she really wanted to go, and of course, I just died up there horrifically,
Okay,
and
at
on
the
the
time, was she an ex or was she a
no, no, she
girlfriend?
was she
Oh,
was she was at the time, and it's high school, so you're like, "This is the one," you know what I mean? You're like, "This is the one." Um, so I literally, like on the ride back, I just, like, chugged a handle of vodka, and then I didn't do it again till for, like, 4 years. I started again when I was at the Comedy Cellar, I waited tables, and I
oh,
did a couple of open mics in 2022, and yeah, been doing it pretty consistently ever since.
yeah, because we connected on Instagram and something came up. I think you were doing a show or producing something, and Sam Morril was on it, and I was like, oh, I recognize that name, Greg Giraldo Jr. And it was pretty dormant for a while, and then all of a sudden, like you start populating with sets, with clips? Like, talk us through like the trajectory. Like, once you started doing it again, are you just hooked on it? Like,
That's so funny, the trajectory. Yeah, I mean, you don't really appreciate it's so funny to hear you talk about it as if it's going somewhere. I guess
well, it's
I
being
guess it
uploaded,
is.
so that's yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is. You don't really notice that when you're doing it. You're just so actively engaged with the process. Talk about the trajectory. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always saw it as like, all right, if you want to do this, you have to just have an online presence, right? And the reality is like the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. Hopefully, the more you understand it, um, the more attention you're going to get to. Honestly, the more shameless you get, and unfortunately, that does help as well. So it really is just like uploading 2, 3 times a week, trusting the process. Hopefully, it resonates with people, and you know, hoping to build up to a level where people like my stuff and I'm able to tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's that consistency. It's much easier said than done. I mean, I think that's a pretty dramatic change I've seen in the last 10 years. Uh, I mean, there's people I think like Ryan Long's a good example. He posts stuff all the time, and that's kind of how people know him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas it used to be like you would break at a festival, or you might be a paid regular, and it's just different. But we can get more into that. I'm curious. Who were some of the influences you had when it comes to comedy? Like, who are some of the people? I mean, there's some
Take
obvious
a
ones
take
that
a
come
take
out,
a
but
guess.
but uh, well, I'll let you answer. But I mean, there's probably more than one person. I'm imagining.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's the number one. I think when you start, you like I was trying to do them for like 2 weeks, and then you pretty rapidly realize, which is so nice about the stage, is you pretty quickly realize what you are and what you aren't. And if I try to have the same vibe as someone else, you just understand, oh, this clearly isn't resonating because I'm not the same person. Um, I try to do him for a bit, and it's so now and then I would say right after, because especially I worked at the Comedy Cellar. Attell's my
Mhm.
guy. Attell still is my guy. I think Dave Attell is the best living comedian. It's either him or Ali Sadiq. So I tried to do him a little bit, but again, like once you start doing it for yourself, I think it's almost harmful to have influences, at least to be like at least people you're trying to imitate because you're just not being yourself. The
That
more helpful
you're
thing is do comedy and see what resonates with people and then be like, "Okay, this sort of feels like me," and then just kinda chase that feeling.
you're wise beyond your years, because I would argue that, like it or not, we're all influenced by someone. You know, in any sort of creative endeavor, but then it takes like repetition to kind of find your own voice. And some people it takes 5 years, some people it takes 25. Many never find it, but to have that kind of foresight, So my hats off to you, Greg, is what I'm saying. But um, what are some of the changes you've seen? Obviously you grew up in a stand-up household, just comedically, like it used to be. I remember, going to Montreal or something was a big deal, or if you're on Leno or Letterman, like, what's different now
Since I started or in my life?
that you remember. So however you want to answer it.
Sure. I mean, I think I'm probably more distant from social media than you might think, or not from social media, from stand up than you
Hmm.
might think, because my dad tried to keep it on the road, and he also died when I was 10, so, like, he really limited talking about his work to the extent of my job is to make people laugh, and then that's all you really need to know at 10 years old. You didn't understand, like, the business or whatever. Um, I think in terms of, like, being around, obviously, social media is the big shift now, and the
Hmm.
the focus on self-promotion and self-content creation. I think the big difference that I'm noticing now is it almost seems like it used to be easier to get people to come to your shows from doing social media because less people were doing it. Like, I feel like post COVID, just immediately there were so many people there was only a select few people that started posting, and people were just so desperate for content that blew up. Right now, these people have a fan base and they're able to tour. Whereas now, there's a lot of people that are posting as much
Hmm.
even more, and they're not getting the same response because the market's oversaturated, right? There's just so many
it,
people putting clips out there.
it's so oversaturated, and also it used to be like LA, New York, Boston, Seattle.
Mhm.
Those were the hubs. Now pick any city, any tertiary city, there's going to be 4 or 5 shows there that night. So I think it's just harder and harder to kind of break through.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're competing with everything. And this it's the same thing people say about stand up, but it sounds true, but it's really not, where there's no barrier to entry. Because in theory, anyone could post anything
Right.
right now. Or like people will probably watch it. And it really again, it really is a numbers game. So if you posted 3 videos of your kids every single day, even if they're just doing nothing, one of them's gonna pop off. If you do it every single day,
Yeah, so something's gonna pop off, but it's like it's one thing to get eyeballs, it's another thing to get a paycheck, and
for
you
sure.
know, I think the economics of stand up is changing. I mean, on one hand, like you said, I think there are definitely barriers of entry. They've gotten smaller, but I think the barriers to making a decent living have just gotten harder and harder. Am I just a whiny bitch, or is there some truth to what I'm complaining about?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. Um, a decent living, maybe. I mean, I think that just goes with inflation, right? It's like spot pays stagnated. Um, like you used to be able to make a living doing just spots in New York City, and that's not a thing anymore. Really, I mean, maybe you could sort of survive, kind of, but it's definitely not a middle class living if you are doing that. The money's on the road at this point.
Right, and
Um,
if you're a trust fund kid, like there are plenty in New York, you can supplement it, but you're not gonna
yeah,
if it costs what $4,800 for a studio per month, like your spot pay is
definitely.
not going to cover that. Yeah.
I mean, I will say what is encouraging though, or honestly, I say this as a nepo baby, it sort of fucks me over, is most of the trust fund babies aren't doing great. Like they're
No.
probably doing disproportionately well in that they're actually I don't know about that. I might be lying. Most of them are doing like the talented ones are doing well, but there's a lot of them that are just micers and they're never going anywhere because they're not interesting. Um,
Yeah, oh, that's true. I when I was in college, I lived in New York, took some time off, and I lived West 53rd and 8th area, and it was so cool to be like a photographer. That was
mhm.
kind of like the hip creative job at the time, but it was what you were saying, Greg. They didn't really have much of their own voice. You know, it was just a way to say you're an artist.
Yeah.
Um, but I also was jealous because I knew they could live there for 10 years, you know, because their rent was paid. So
And believe me, like, there's so many days where you're out late or you wanna be out later and you're like, I gotta wake up tomorrow at 7 AM," and then you're exhausted for the next day, and you're like, "Oh, if I wasn't exhausted, I would've, I would've been so things would have changed." But I think the more that I do it, the more that I'm like, "Oh, I think those experiences actually help you because the whole concept of, "Crap, I have to go to work tomorrow," that's such a quintessentially human experience, and just understanding that and connecting with people on that level is really helpful.
oh yeah, I mean, especially if you're going out to on the road or some of the other states, it's like not everyone can relate to living in the Upper West Side, but most people can relate to being angry when it's the morning and you have to go to work and you don't want to.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
you've done a lot of roast battles, and I've done roast. I judged a roast battle once, but I'm a little bit unfamiliar with like the backstory. Can you tell our audience like a little bit about what they are, and with emphasis on what is like the pregame work? Because it seems like you guys kind of know stuff about each other, but I'm not sure. So what's the truth?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be my 1 year anniversary of doing them in like a couple of days. It's essentially the way I like to view it is you just write the best jokes regarding someone else, like about them. So what they do, typically you're friends or you're at least friendly, and then you'll send each other X amount of information, and then from X information you write jokes about them. You send them a little biography essentially.
Okay,
Um,
so there's kind of a disclosure period.
yeah, yeah, I would say so. And also it's very much like if you don't want someone to say something, you can bring that up and they will respect that. I haven't really sometimes people skirt the rules a little bit, but I've rarely if ever seen because everyone knows like even if it's the greatest joke in the world, it's like, oh, congratulations, you had a good joke at a roast battle. No one really cares.
And that seems like dicey though. And it's like if I see someone's like, don't say this, that's like kind of all my eyes are gonna focus on. I
Sure.
mean, it's
I mean, I think if you say that about the big stuff, then you're just not fun. Like, if
Yeah,
I'm like, "Don't make jokes about my dead dad," then that's just like, why are you even roasting me, right? Um, but what I do say, I think, and again, I like to think that most people have a pretty practical reason for everything. Is I'm like, all right, I get I'm a substitute teacher. One thing is just don't. My only thing is like, don't call me a pedophile because if there is a clip of
yeah.
me being called pedophile online, I'm fired.
Oh, an algorithm will pull it, and so
Of
we can
course.
even delete that line.
No, I
But
don't care. Fucking throw it up. I don't care. Like, I think in context it's fine.
right.
Um, but like again, everyone is like, oh yeah, of course. Like everyone understands that that's just not worth it.
Well,
But for the most part, like everyone's pretty cool about you saying anything.
and I think you sort of have to be. You know, it's
Yeah, yeah.
if you're hyper uptight. One thing I appreciate about your roast battles is you seem to smile a lot, and it comes off as you're enjoying it. What's the reality?
That's true, usually. The only one that I maybe you could argue didn't enjoy as much was the first time I lost, maybe, but even then I was having fun because I love Sarah so much. I mean, what was really helpful for me was now that because I was undefeated for a while, and now that I've lost, it's like, oh, I can just get out there and like say anything and have fun. So now I think I'm sincerely enjoying them a lot more because like I don't really care how the outcome of the thing, as long as lame as it sounds, like as long as everyone has fun. So
Yeah, I mean, even just the idea of a winner. I mean, that's pretty new. You know, like
yeah, yeah,
In the Dean Martin roast, or the ones your dad did. Like, it wasn't like we're gonna rank it afterwards. I mean, people might have their comments online, but that
right.
doesn't really mean anything. It's like, so the idea of a winner is like. I mean, I guess it adds some competition to it, but um, who decides? Is how's it determined who wins?
It's a panel of judges. So you have
Okay.
other comedians and sometimes a porn star will come on and they'll just be like, "I liked your stuff better. I liked your stuff better." But again, like it's pretty arbitrary. And
I
that's
think
also why it's like you can't really focus on who wins and who loses. It can
no.
literally be as arbitrary as like there's a guy in Jersey who wins every battle because all of his jokes where he just goes like, "I'm Jimmy," and the whole crowd goes, "Jimmy," and they're not good, but it pisses the person off that he's roasting. So the other person will write really good jokes, and then this guy's expecting to win, and then
It just
afterward,
goes,
all the
"I'm
are like,
Jimmy." Yeah.
"Jimmy!" There's no set criteria. It's all nonsense.
Well, maybe we need to gather more porn stars so they can lend more credibility to the
They're
judging. I
the
think.
worst at judging, honestly.
Well, I'm curious. How sick are you of the dead dad jokes?
I don't really care. I mean, if they're bad, they're bad. Like it's like anything else. I'm sure every black comic is sick of hacky black jokes that
Yeah.
aren't very funny. But if someone makes like a legitimately good one or it comes from a friend or whatever, then yeah, you're into it. Um, Same with me and the dead dad thing. It's like a lot of them are bad. Like I'll get a lot of like Instagram DMs that are not the best, but and most
What do you
people
mean?
are
Like they're making a joke, or I mean, I don't want
yeah,
to
they'll send
I
like
don't want to blow wind to the fire of these a holes. But like what like are they well meaning, or I guess talk to us about that.
yeah, they're well meaning and
Oh,
that's why
okay.
it's like not really that. Not the worst thing, but you're kind of like ah ha ha
Yeah, I've
versus
never heard that. Yeah.
um but yeah, they're all well-meaning. So no one's really been a dick about it. The only time was, I sort of lied. So my first roast battle ever, I was like literally like 2 months into comedy, uh, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I died horrifically, and I didn't do them again for another 3 years. But, all the comments were like talking about how like my mom's womb was absorbing all the unfunny from the Dean Martin roast, some like that. There's a lot of those are the only ones I would say were like not well-meaning necessarily. Um,
Yeah, and it's just awkward that you have to deal with online comments. Like, I think roasts, uh, at their core, I think are best when people kind of know each other and there's a little bit of a secrecy. You know,
mhm.
it's like I don't know. I think it's just strange. It's like your first time up, and you have to deal with someone who wasn't even there giving an opinion about it. But that's the world we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and
What
to me, but I mean, in their case, they were right. I bombed. You know what I mean? I was like, all right,
well, at least they're correct.
kind of,
So that,
kind of had to eat it. Whereas now,
um,
the ultimate vindication is like, oh, but I did well. I couldn't even say that.
and I can tell, like, you actually write a lot, or at least it comes off that way. You have layers and intelligence to your jokes. What is your process? Like, do you kind of write on stage, so to speak, or are you one you kind of write a script, or what works for
I
you?
wish, I wish I could. I need to write more. I need to more so solidify my process. I try to write like 20 minutes a day, just free writing, not trying to be funny. And
Like
then,
journaling, or
yes, essentially. And then of those, if there's any ideas that are interesting, I take them and I try to write on them. And then for like probably like another like 30, 40 minutes, I just try to write jokes. And it's literally just like me at my laptop writing. Um, I wish there's so many like interesting pieces of advice that I've tried, and I want to try more to like see what works. I really would love to optimize my writing process, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because you get something from everything in terms of like writing techniques.
Mhm. Well, if you can figure out how to optimize a writing process, you will be a billionaire in short order.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, like Dane Cook told me this thing where he's like, every single Monday, what I would do was I would go and I would just like sit at a random place I've never been before, and I would just write on the people on the street, and I would call it like just observe for an hour. And I haven't done that yet, but even like that sounds so helpful. Like I could totally see how that would make some really good stuff.
That's really smart. And that I I wrote a piece on this producer in LA, and um, he helped. Jay Davis was his name, and Dane Cook used to do a lot of his shows. And you probably don't remember. I mean, he was like a rock star, kind of Matt Rife before
Yeah, yeah.
Rife existed, and like
Mm.
it was. Then it got so cool to hate on him
Yeah, it
because
did.
he was successful. He's a good looking guy, you know, and he might have written too much, but like, is that your big sin? Like you put out albums like, you know, too quickly. And it's like, I kind of contrasted a little bit with like your dad, who was like universally loved.
Mhm.
How did you kind of get into contact with Dane Cook, and beyond that writing exercise, like what can you learn from Dane or someone like him?
He was the man. He was so cool. Barry Katz saw some of my content online, and he's like, Dane Cook would love to meet you. And from what I understand, Dane Cook is just like always been really cool to young up and coming comics. So we literally just like called for an hour and a half and talked shop. And he was it sounds so lame, but you I feel like you tell this to someone who's not in comedy, and they're like, "Oh, like, did he give you, like, big network connections?" Like, "No, not at all. We literally just, like, talked." He literally just, like, explained what it took and what he did to be successful and to become a really good comedian, and that I think was more helpful than anything. It really was.
Yeah, what are some gems? What's something you gleaned from your conversation with him?
He had some great ones. One of them is a Patrice quote where he's like, if you say the truth, people might not like it, but they're gonna listen. And that's true. Even if it, and you could see it when you drop some uncomfortable truths on stage, like people get uncomfortable and fine, but no one really leaves. Like there's never really ambivalence to it. You're always gonna extract some kind of reaction. And if you elicit some kind of reaction, then you can turn that into something, right? Like you can release that tension with humor in some way.
Mhm. No, I think it's important. I mean, I think the worst thing on stage is forgettability or indifference.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's much. I mean, I think there's a counter to that, where if you're just shocking to be shocking, that's stupid. But maybe it's
Yeah,
inauthentic.
of
So,
course. And I mean, I
well,
also don't think like the truth doesn't mean like you get up there and you say some hack bullshit. Like you get up there and you're like black people loud movie theater. It can mean like you like a sincere honestly, maybe like a sincere, interesting, unique thought about how you feel about black people living in your neighborhood or whatever. Like even if
mhm,
that's controversial and shitty, that is gonna elicit some kind of response. And if it's like
yeah,
genuinely an interesting intrinsic truth to you, I do believe there is a way to manipulate that so that it is funny. Um,
I what you said really stands out when you said truth to you. It took me a while to to learn this, and someone probably told me when I started, and I maybe didn't listen, but I think the best way to guard against unoriginality is to write based on your own experiences. And it can be something kind of boring that happened to you, but it's if you make it unique, it's going to be really hard for someone to say that you ripped them off, or it's like that's just something that there wasn't a question there, Greg. It's just something I wanted to throw out there for the ether.
Yeah, please. No, absolutely. And you're right. I mean, if you have every person has a unique life story. And if you can manipulate that, then, or you can tell about that, then yeah, no one can take that from you. It's your life.
No, and you had a obviously pretty traumatic experience when you were 10, and your father passed, and it might be like trite to say, but do you think how do you think that has impacted your I guess resilience, or kind of thick skinnedness when you're on stage, or if at all, what do you think?
Do I think it's impacted my resilience? No, on stage, I would say it hasn't really. I'm like a pretty cowardly person most of the time. I don't know. I think maybe it's impacted my self on stage in that it's impacted myself on stage in that I understand there is a trajectory to success. Like I understand that this can lead to something.
Hmm.
So I think maybe I believe in myself more because of that. Because I know what
Okay.
I'm doing fruitless. Because I understand oh, this can actually lead to providing a living for your family or being incredibly well regarded by a lot of people. Um, so yeah, I think that's maybe the only way that it's given me any sense of resilience.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's pretty impressive. You have to say like you're cowardly in other areas of your life, because we all are, and a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
want to put on this front like, oh, nothing can stop me. It doesn't kill me. It's like, no, we all have some buttons we don't want pushed. But changing gears a little bit, when you started doing stand up, what was the reaction from family or close friends?
They were cool with it. My mom actually loves comedy. I mean, or at least I think. Like she was a waitress at Caroline's. That's how she met my dad. Um, I feel like you might even know more about that than I do, which is super weird. Um, but yeah, that's how she met him. So she's been around and she still talks to all those guys all the time because she was a waitress there. Like she was the hot
Mm.
waitress at Caroline's, so they all knew her. Uh, it's very funny because you can hear stories about how all these now famous comedians hit on my mom in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember
And
when I interviewing Jim Gaffigan, and he kept talking. It does sound weird. It's your
uh,
mom. It's like, yeah, she was beautiful. And we're like, is she really into Greg? And then when I interviewed your mom, she said, yeah, like she'd get hit on all the time by comedians,
yeah,
and I'm sure if you were, it's just kind of par for the course. But obviously, something about your dad that stood out. And
it was. I mean, I'll tell you from her perspective. I don't know what he would say, but
sure.
uh, they're both Latin, so he had the Spanish thing going, and that if you're the only one at the club that has that,
That
that
that's
helps.
that's a good differentiator. And speaking of, do you speak Spanish?
No, I wish. My brothers do a lot better than me.
So it skipped. How did that work? You just refused in Spanish class, or
No, dude, I wish. It was COVID. I was supposed to study abroad for a year,
oh,
and then COVID happened, so I wasn't able to do that.
see, that's the real tragedy of COVID. It prevented you from brushing up on your Spanish. That
Dude, you're
that's
telling me. I mean, no one in my immediate family was impacted. I hope I'm not forgetting a dead relative, but as far as I'm aware, no one in my family's been impacted. Um, yeah, so yeah, it sucks. I'm still mad about it.
well, that my mom's from the former Yugoslavia, and I mean, Slovenian is a hard language to learn, and
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
terrible, but it's also not that practical, but still one of those things like my cousins, they can speak. It would just be like a fun thing to
Mhm.
have. But uh, I remember when I started the book about your dad. One of the first interviews I did was with your mom, and it was long. It was like several hours, and it was pretty interesting because obviously the subject was your father, but I almost wanted to have like a separate aside, and it wouldn't have made sense in the book, but just be like, in my opinion, she's the hero. It was like, and I don't want to diminish anything. Obviously that happened with that your dad did, and the influence. Yeah, obviously, it's a huge influence on me. But it was like I kind of felt like a bit of an asshole because I was like, I'm doing all this work, and to find out the history of your dad and what he did. And meanwhile, like your mom's the one like, raising the family, having a good attitude. Like, I mean, I guess like, is there anything you want to give a shout out to moms? Like I guess, what was your experience? I mean, I had an interview, you had a life. So what say you?
Yeah, in general. Yeah, I mean, I don't think even my dad would disagree when he was sober, that he was yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, I think that there are maybe some intricacies in their arguments that I didn't really see when I was a kid, but, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, my dad was an addict and he would engage in a lot of self-destructive behavior, and my mom was very much the one who, like, had to hold the family together.
Hmm.
I'm sure you got this in the book, but fortunately, I was probably less impacted by that than people think because he did it all on the road. So, like, it wasn't like dad came home drunk and was, like, throwing up and hitting things. Like, he, like, would, like, destroy a hotel room or something, but I would never hear about it. Um, yeah, she's totally I mean, there's no moral ambiguity about it. She's literally a woman who raised 3 kids by herself. Yeah, yeah.
No,
She's
I'm one of three
a
boys
great job.
myself, and like the idea of doing it as a single mom, as a single parent seems daunting. So my hats off to her and anyone who can do that. Um,
Mm.
Obviously, a lot of people know about your dad's comedy. What are some aspects of his life, whether it's boating or like that maybe weren't so obvious that were kind of cool in your opinion?
Interesting. It's a really good question. I think this comes a lot from the Harvard law background, and this always stuck with me because my grandmother, my abuela, does this too. Is he always loved to like ask questions and give riddles and stuff. And I don't know how much other parents did it with their kids, but it was very much like every day after school, he would have like a new logic puzzle for us to solve, that kind of thing. I think that is just like a really helpful exercise for any developing kid. Or he would like yeah, I think he would just ask us a lot of questions too. Like our family friend was a lawyer, and my dad would be like, "Why do you think lawyers are important?" He wouldn't tell us. He would kind of make you
Mhm.
state your case. And I was like 7, so I'm sure it was horrible. But I think just like continuously doing that is really helpful to develop.
It's the Socratic method.
Yeah, it is. It
It's
really
kind
is.
of eliciting answers in discussion, but usually people do it when they're 19, not 7 years old. So
Sure,
you
sure.
you got it early. Um, uh, Obviously, you've done a lot of roast battles, and it seems there's like a resurgence with Netflix and roasts. Like I mean, I'm biased. I thought in your dad's day and before that was like the peak, but
Oh
now
yeah,
now
same.
I'm
Yeah.
now I'm really enjoying them again. What are some roasts, either the whole roast or some performances that stick out to you?
I mean,
Like recently, like we call it the last 10 years. That's recent.
yeah, yeah. I think I might be less of a roast guy than my online persona might indicate. But of the people that battle immediately that are just in my immediate vicinity, Dan Wicks, he's one of my good friends. He's the one who got me into this. I think the roast battle between him and Jeffrey Asmus, who's also a killer, is like one of my favorite things that I've seen online in a very long time. That I think they really take the art form of like you look like blah blah blah, you look like blah blah blah, and they very much prove you can really elevate it. That's my favorite one I've seen for a while. There's Luke Davis, is a friend of mine too from New York. He subverted the formula in a really fun way where he was roasting a black guy, and the whole time he just kept talking about like how important Black History Month was, and that it was like his time. It was just a really fun way to just fuck someone over. Because that like obviously everything he wrote back in response was really mean, and then
Yeah.
Luke, right? Well, it's my time to listen and learn.
That's a fun twist. What about like whether it's the Tom Brady roast or Kevin Hart, or are there any of the like the newer kind of national ones that you've watched?
Not really, no.
Yeah,
I've seen clips online, but I haven't watched one. The stuff I've seen from the Tom Brady roast was really good. Hinchcliffe obviously destroyed in the Brady roast. I don't think I'm saying
that was
anything
so
cop.
good. Like I mean, there were a lot of good performances, but he and Nikki Glazer, I thought just
Oh yeah, yeah,
crushed, like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
in kind of different ways. So that that was a fun one. Obviously you're an adult now. At what point, if ever, were you able to kind of go back and watch some of your dad's stuff and enjoy it?
Pretty quickly. When I was like 11, 12, my mom let me listen to his albums, and like
Uh,
I was literally like keeling over in the middle of we were just having dinner. I was literally like keeling over in restaurants and stuff because I thought it was so good. My dad was obviously really embarrassed to show me that stuff all the time. And I think this is really key to understand too for comics that have children. He didn't want me to see it because he was like, "Oh, like just so you know, I'm gonna say some mean stuff up there, but it's ultimately like I'm playing a character. I don't necessarily 100% believe these things, or it's like a dark side of me that believes them." What he said was he was like, "Listen, it's my job to make people laugh. I kind of have to do whatever I can to do that. Just
mhm.
understand that none of it comes from a bad place. I'm not trying to be mean to you. Like I'm playing a character there. I don't really believe a lot of those things." And even as like a 6-year-old kid, I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Your job is to make people laugh. You say whatever you can." Um, but anyway, he was self-conscious about me listening to his stuff. A, because it would undermine his sort of authority as a paternal figure, right? He tells me not to curse, and I'm like, "Well, look at
Right.
what you were saying on this."
Yeah.
That'd be gross. And B, because I think he was afraid that like I would be offended because he did some stuff about his family. But no,
Mhm.
that was never the case.
That's cool. I mean, I took my son to my first show, like of mine, last my younger son on Friday, and for some of the similar reasons. And I waited a while because I was like, I don't want him to like misconstrue something I say kind of in
Yeah.
jest. And also it's just like, the separation. Like I want to be the dad first. And it's like if they're always like, like pulling my finger and farting in front of me, it's like there's a point I'm just like, stop it. This is annoying. Like save it
Right,
for the
right,
stage. And
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
like if that line is blurred, it can make your job as a dad like 10 times harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the your dad's bits or albums or jokes that are your favorite
I
or
mean, everyone
resonate the most? You go ahead.
sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone cites it, but the Civil War letters bit is gold. Where he talks about like the devolution of reading and writing in the United States. Even in New York, people cite that bit years later because I think he closed on it doing 15-minute sets here a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Um, it's such a dumb line, but the one that he has about like we can't stop eating. What do you what has to go on to stop you from thinking about food? Oh my god, my house is on fire. Marshmallows. That's so silly. And I think that also comes from that. Like I heard that from him when I was like I listened to his stuff for the first time when I was 11 years old, right after he passed. And to an
Mhm.
11-year-old, that's the like you don't get any of the sex stuff, obviously. So that's the funny. The marshmallows is the
The mar
funniest thing.
that's encouraging. That yeah, as an 11-year-old, you can like kind of hold on to the marshmallow bit, and all the other sex stuff goes over your head at least for a few
It
years.
really
So
does,
that's
yeah.
then it
But
doesn't.
honestly, like he didn't do that much sex stuff, in my opinion, at least. Like it was maybe
No, no.
like there definitely was some, but it was a minority.
No, and one thing that I liked about your dad's stuff, and a lot of people kind of his generation is it kind of had to appeal to a lot. Now I think comedy is more siloed. And I'm not saying it's better or worse, but there's something artistically I appreciate about someone that can entertain people from all different walks of life. Do you think that's important, or do you think we're now at a time where it's like just find your lane and drive in that?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think yes and no. However you make a living is how you make a living.
That's
That's
true.
for sure. And there also are people who like destroy for their individual groups. Like John Marco will do like theater kid jokes, and that group will feel so validated and seen by that that it's like, yeah, fucking send it, right? Of course. And I think I also know this because I have a certain demographic that loves jokes about my dad, right? And it's a very singular group.
Hmm.
And I know I have X amount of minutes that destroys for those people, but doesn't really work as well for other people because they
Hmm.
just don't have the context. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're worse jokes. It just means that they're not for these people. But I don't
Right.
think like I still think that would I still think I there should be a segment of people that I should be able to do these jokes to because they love them, right? They're
Right.
it's good. Um, that being said, I'm very old school in that the test of a true comedian, especially in New York where you have a lot of tourists around, is you got to be put kind of in any circumstance and figure out what to do. Like Seinfeld said, not every joke has to be for every room, but every comedian does. And I think
Mm.
every truly great comedian can pull that off. Like, I think every truly great comedian can be put in 99% of circumstances and at least tread water if they wanted to. Some choose not to, but I think that they
Right.
could if they wanted to.
After the book came out and I did some interviews, and it seems like I always got this question. I was like, was he the best, or how would you rank? And I don't want to like rank comedians, but I also didn't want to evade the question. So I'd say like my measuring stick, and I think your dad was the best at this, was can you take a room full of people from various walks of life who aren't there to see you and entertain them and make them laugh?
Mhm.
And your dad was like a stud. I mean that he could do that in a way I've never seen. So I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah,
that's the
I agree.
if that's the best judge of comedic ability, but it was a system I used.
It's certainly a valid criteria, yeah. I mean, if I mean, comedy's subjective, obviously, but if you're like, who can make the most people laugh the most, seems like a pretty good way to measure how good of a comic someone is.
Right, right. Yeah, it's again, we're not scientists, like measuring asses and bases or something like that. It's we got to find some way that makes sense. Um, I'm curious, like, have you ever thought, like on stage or like when you're reaching out to clubs, of not using your name, or has it been a help or a hindrance, or can you talk about that? I'm
Sure.
curious what the good and bad of being Greg Giraldo Jr.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm in a very fortunate place in that clubs honestly know who I am and comedians do, but audiences really don't. So when I get up there, it's not like I'm Richard Pryor's kid where everyone has some preconceived notion of who I am. You might have some people, but broadly speaking, the general
Yeah.
public, like I'm just another dude, which is great. That's what you want to be when you go up. I would love to be a blank slate.
Hmm.
When I first started, I used a fake name for like 2 months and everyone knew who I was because like my
Okay.
Venmo, Giraldo, and like my
Gotcha.
email. It wasn't even that. It was like I would sign up for stuff, and that would just appear. And honestly, like when I first started, maybe it was, but it was like around when the Vice documentary came out too. So everyone also saw me on there. I was like, what the, So I couldn't really
There's
hide.
no escaping it. Yeah.
Yeah. So so every time I got on stage with a fake name, I felt like I was hiding a part of myself. And so much of stand up is authenticity
Right.
that I just had to I was like, "I'll just be me, whatever." I think it's and I would be lying if I said it's been anything but a help, right? Like, I've heard people say, like, compare being a nepo baby to being a hot girl, where it's like you just go in place and you're like, "Wow, everyone's so nice to me. I wonder why everyone's so sweet. I love these books. They're great." And that's definitely true. People walk away and I mean, I'm a very nice guy, so I think that helps, obviously, but I think people are just more inclined to talk to me and be nice to me because they assume that I have some kind of connection to important people, and I guess I do, but, like, it doesn't really feel like
Right.
that, but I do. I'd be lying if I said it didn't.
Well, that
Um,
that's cool. And I think your analogy to the hot girl is, I guess I'll push back a little bit, because if you're a hot girl, people notice it at every room. If
sure, yeah,
if you're Greg
true.
Giraldo Jr., not everyone notices. So, you don't have all the advantages of being a hot chick, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's advantage I mean, I also don't have any of the disadvantages, like, none of the bookers are groping me yet, but we'll
Not
see.
yet, but I mean, you're a handsome guy. Your time will come,
We'll
Greg.
see. Oh, well, thank you, Matt. That's very encouraging.
um, well, please come back. Would love to chat more, but we're kind of wrapping up a little. What have you done professionally so far that you're most proud of?
I don't know. I don't feel like I haven't done anything I'm that proud of, honestly. Like I really view myself in an incubation phase. Like I'm not I think I'm good. I'm definitely good. Like I can hold my own in most showcases and whatever, but I'm nowhere near the comedian that I want to be. Like I haven't put out anything that I'm like that's me, that's my tape yet. Um, I don't know. I guess I'm proud of how much I've developed since I started, but I'm nowhere near what I want to be.
What do you want to be? Like what would be success in your eyes?
You just want to be a killer. Like you want to be someone that everyone's like, oh, that guy destroys. That's it. I feel like that's the only criteria, really.
I agree. Leave it up to the audience, and if you crush, then that's all the validation
Yeah.
you need. What are you optimistic about?
With stand up, I mean, I think I'm going to be very
Or stand
successful.
up or anything. Go ahead, sir. However you want to answer it.
I mean, I think I'm going to be very successful, honestly. But I think that it's definitely going to take time. But yeah, I've like all the confidence in the world that I'm going to be. I don't know. I guess the criteria for fame is arbitrary, but I think I'm going to be able to make a very good living at this.
I won't bet against that. So for people who want to help you make a very good living at this, where
Oh
can we
yeah,
funnel them? Where can they turn to, where can they learn more about you, Greg?
definitely. It's Greg Giraldo Jr. on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and YouTube. If you look up Greg Giraldo Jr., I'll be there. I try to upload it 2, 3 times a week. Reach out via message. I always respond. I'm always down to talk. And yeah, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and come back soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Matt Balaker podcast. To learn more, please check out mattbalaker.com and encourage your friends to like, subscribe, and share. Really appreciate it.